how to create buzz in any time zone. Hey guys, Yolanda at Dryer Buzz, and of course 27 Answers. And I'm over here. I've got 1, 2, 3, probably about 4 or 5 devices and a pen and paper working on today's mission, trying to hit my goals, hit my time. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh man, I got to get this done before noon. And I'm like, wait a minute, really? You know, how many times have you said, Yolanda, there are no time zones when it comes to creating buzz? Now, I'm in a inbox with a couple people. We're trying to figure out if we can, pull off a podcast together. And we were trying to figure out what time, but we kept thinking about the time zone that we're in. And I'm like, listen, guys, all we got to do is pick a day. Because if we want to do breakfast, if we want to do lunch, if we want to do dinner, guess what? Somewhere in the world, it's any of those times at all times. And I'm sitting here like feeling like I'm procrastinating or not exactly productive because I'm not hitting these times. And I'm like, stop it. Stop it. If it's not flow, especially if you're like me, you got to wait for that full on energy of creativity to come in. Because remember, with this week, we're talking about not just how to create buzz, but really how to sustain it. And the biggest part of trying to sustain it is the committing to a time or a frequency. And in your own mind, like I said, there are no time zones, because a lot of times you may put out something at the noon hour. But when are people listening? Like when I'm creating this and I have a sequence, hey, I push that record button. I try to get it all in one take. I just kind of work through it, talk through it. That is considered the podcast, because that's what I can commit to. I don't have time to, go and script it out and all that. I'm like, I had to find something that I could just push that button and start talking. So if you're catching this only 2 minutes of it, make sure you go get the full podcast over on Spotify and our YouTube, okay? All right, so now back to it. So the commitment of it and the frequency of it, people always ask when they ask about how to create buzz. Okay, now how do I find time to create buzz? You gotta put in the time, just like you gotta put in the money, just like you gotta have the team, the resources, and all that. The time of it is very important, especially if it's part of something that you're passionate about, or if it's something that's going to give you your peace or in your anointing, or it revolves around that freedom that you want. Those are all the reasons that people give me for wanting to start their business or build a brand or just do some of the things that they love. All of that comes into play. So you got to think about the time. And I'm sitting here, I'm recording this and by my own expectations, I'm a little bit behind schedule. But I needed to follow up on some things. And I'm like, you know what? Let me look at the stats. When are people like really listening? Oh, well, wait, they're listening, in their commute. Well, I got a couple of hours really before commute time starts. They don't really know exactly what time I load it, because I record it. Then I drop it on this platform. I drop it on that platform, and as long as it's done by the end of the day. Based on the likes and the comments, I might have a couple of hours on there. I can adjust. I've got some room to work in order to create my buzz and also sustain it. Now, if I didn't get the podcast out, then we've got a problem. I'd have to come back the next day with some apologies. I have to give some disclaimers. And y'all know I have a pet peeve about apologies and disclaimers. And that's one of the reasons why I try to make sure before I commit to something that I can truly commit to it. I've got some other irons I'm sharpening and putting in the fire, and I got to make sure, can I commit to it? Somebody was saying, well, are you going to still do breakfast? I'm like, well, we're at lunchtime. This season, we're going to do lunch. Because when we did breakfast with Dryer Buzz, everywhere I went, people were like, man, I wish it was at lunchtime. Well, I understand. There are people who will always have an excuse as to why they can't participate. But now it's at lunchtime. Here's a whole audience rolling in at lunchtime. And some of those rolled in at breakfast because they understand the value that we're going to bring to it, the buzz that we're going to sustain. And the sustaining part is all in our reputation. That if they came with it once, they're going to come with it again and again and again. That is what builds your reputation. So as halfway through this, as you try to decide what it is that you're going to do to grow your buzz and to sustain your buzz, make sure it's something that you commit to. And time zones might not even play into it unless you are hyper local or local. right? Regional, it's different. You know, this 30 miles west of me is an entirely different time zone. An hour's different, right? If I just go 30 minutes, 30 miles beyond where I am, I would be in an entirely different time zone. So if I said, I'm going to do this at 12 o'clock noon, well, hey, all I got to do, if I needed to buy an hour, is just go 30 miles, right? Which could take 30 minutes or 2 hours. It just depends. So time zones, it just doesn't matter. What could you commit to, and commit to it that is not going to give you any side effects, you don't have to put any disclaimers on it, and you never really have to apologize. I didn't come on this podcast. I didn't start out by making any apologies. I'm still well within the algorithms that tell me if I record it, if I build it, you will come. And if I need to adjust it, leading off with the expectation, my promise is to you that it's going to be a great podcast somewhere between 9 minutes, and I'm going to try to get out of it at 10 minutes so I don't take up all of your time, because I want you to go and listen to other people. But when it comes to creating buzz and sustaining your buzz and remember we talked about sustaining that momentum. If you listen to the one I did prior to this one, we talk about sustaining that momentum, and the main thing that keeps us from maintaining that momentum is when we get into analysis of paralysis. Paralysis of analysis, always trying to analyze, always meeting instead of making it happen. When I'm talking with these ladies about doing the podcast, this inbox is all we get. When we get together, it's like, let's push that button and get this podcast out there. Same thing I'm doing here. I don't care if we do it 2 o'clock in the morning, and we might have to, because that's when we as women can get our families to just kind of leave us alone, find that quiet time and go ahead and get creative and knock it out. It is what it is. But we're talking about, again, how to create buzz and how to sustain it. Find your momentum. It doesn't have to be at a particular time. Know when. This is, again, ask your audience. Go back and look at your evaluate your data. If you recorded at 8 o'clock, are people listening at 8 o'clock? Did you go live? I'm not doing this live. I have content. In fact, I did a live stream prior to this, and that live stream went a little bit longer because the engagement was so great on it based on the topic, right? So therefore, now I'm doing this and this is for an entirely different audience. They don't talk about this stuff on that particular part one. In fact, we talked about on that live stream, we talked about lemonade, right? We talked about stirring up some topics, and it was all about blogging. So again, my own expectation is to have this podcast done before noon. Somewhere in the world, it's about to be noon. Somewhere in the world, it doesn't matter what time it is, as long as I commit to getting it out there each and every Monday through Thursday. Not every day, each and every Monday through Thursday. And even if I miss one, then I know that I can always refer back to, because they're podcasts, I can always refer to a best of. Set it up so that you can keep the momentum going, so that you can sustain the buzz, right? It's got to be how you need it to be so that you can sustain it. It's got to be, hear me when I say this, it's got to be how you need it to be in order to sustain it. And I have been sustaining this and all the content we've been rolling out, y'all, for 16 years. It's our 16th anniversary. We got a lot of stuff going on. Do follow us at dryerbuzz.com. Do follow the hashtag dryerbuzz. And if you need more answers and you want to see what we're giving you more answers, all you got to do is filter the entire internet, or just simply your favorite platform in your favorite time zone. When you're ready, when you want it, guess what? It's going to be there under hashtag 27 answers.